Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Books and Coffee. I hope you're having a great day. Did I take an impromptu 2-month break without ever deciding on it or planning it? Yes. And did I spill water right here before I pressed record? I did. I'm not gonna change, can't be bothered. But anyway, today I'm gonna talk about all the books that I read since January. I think there's about 10 books, but there's only a few that I really want to talk about and get into with you guys, because the rest I don't really see the point in talking about it, but I will let you know what I read. But there are a few books that I feel like it's really important for us to talk about and for you to pick it up and spend your money on. The first book is an audiobook that I listened to, and that is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Now this is essentially a memoir, but it is written in such a creative way. It's like reading a novel, but the events that are happening in the book are real. And it's very tragic. So Carmen Maria Machado writes about her experiences in an abusive same-sex relationship. Now, almost all the queer books that I read are either fantasy or YA contemporary. They more or less follow the same theme, which is nice. We need that sort of books, but this is the first time that I'm reading something like this, where it is a same-sex relationship, but it's just as abusive and toxic as a straight relationship. And I'll be honest, I was aware of same-sex abuse because being queer isn't a personality trait. It's your sexuality. The same way that people shouldn't be judged for being queer, that should not become a factor when you're just a douchebag. Just because you're queer doesn't mean you're a good person. So I was aware of these things, but it's just I never read something like this before. And that's probably because when you're in a queer relationship, right, there are, just like any other relationship, there are these stereotypes and there are these expectations from the society and from different people. And I think she's incredibly brave for putting this out into the world for everybody else to read. There are some scenes in the story which is written using animal characters, and that's because it's how she manifested herself in the relationship. All this which you will understand once you read the book, so I highly recommend you pick it up. So the next one is another audiobook that I listened to, and I listened to it in like a day, and that is Remote Control by Nady Okorafor. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, I'm sorry. Now this is a very cool sci-fi folklore-ish type of book. It's set in a near future Ghana. It's about this girl named Sankofa, who is considered Death's daughter. And all this starts with a seed that falls from the sky during a meteor shower. I picked this up very randomly after DNFing a new YA contemporary that I was really excited about. And I don't think it was the book. I think I'm past the point of reading YA now, and I mean I'll still read it if it's like really good, but I don't think I'm going to seek them out anymore. Anyway, back to the book. Like I said, it's a great blend of folklore and magical realism with a hint of sci-fi, and that is a combination that you don't get very often. And you have to pay attention to the story because it demands it. And then I read all of this, the ACTA series, and I have a whole reading blog dedicated to that, so that's why I'm not going to talk about it. Then I read another audiobook called The Black Imagination, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 as well. This is a collection of poetry and short stories about the Black experience. Each narrative is about a healing ritual, an origin story, imagination, and describing a world where Black lives are valued, safe, and loved. While the Black history is of course tragic, and what's happening now, it's not any better, but that is not the only thing there is to it, and that's what this collection is all about. It shows a really beautiful side to the Black imagination, and you have to hear about it or read about it through their own experiences, not through somebody else, and that includes me. So the whole point of this book is to give space to their own voices, and there's like a really nice excerpt towards the beginning of the book, right, which says 7 steps for the white identified reader. Step 1, relax. You have claimed all the things already except silence. Now, I'm not white and I'm not Black, so instead of me trying to explain to you what this book is about and why you should read it, I will read you one entry and after that I highly recommend you pick it up and read it for yourself. It's really good. So here it is. My art would be art and not always be brave. It wouldn't have to be political because of who I am. My art would be art and not always be activism when I wasn't even trying to be. My art would be happy sometimes. People would consume my art because it was art. And then I read the books that everybody's reading these days because there's a TV show coming, and that is the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Now, you know, if you've been on this channel for a long time, how much I love Six of Crows. I recommend it to everyone. It is one of the best YA fantasy that's ever written and that I've ever read. So it holds a place in my heart, and I'm so excited for the TV show, and I cannot wait. The casting looks phenomenal, except for Nina and Matthias. I don't really like who they have casted, but we'll see. It's not who I pictured in my head, so I mean, as long as they do a good job, I really don't care. But the rest is amazing, like Cass and Inej and Jasper. Oh my god, I cannot. And you know what? It's after watching the trailer that I wanted to give the Shadow and Bone trilogy a try, because I know from a lot of people's experiences it's not the best series. And compared to Six of Crows, you're never going to be satisfied with this after reading that first. So anyway, I did try, and I have to say I did like the first one, and I feel like if this book is just Shadow and Bone, it would have been so much better, because these two were utterly useless and ridiculous. I didn't like it at all. But I must say I do enjoy the Grishaverse, and I really hope there's more books coming, because her writing gets better with every book. So I'm really excited to read King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, but I know they're never gonna be as good as Six of Crows. It just won't. And then the final book I read is this beautiful book called Freedom by Katherine Johnson. I will treasure this forever. It's such a great book, and it was such a surprise because my sister got this for my birthday. It's so small, okay? Look how small this is. It's like 150 pages. No, it's less than 200 pages. The main character, Nathaniel, I just want to hug him, and I want to protect him from the world. I want to keep him safe. Such a beautiful soul with a pure heart. So it's the year 1793. The protagonist Nathaniel is enslaved to the House Barrett in Jamaica. He's forced to leave the country with the masters. When they moved to London, his mother and his sister were sold off. And while he's in London, he hears about what happens in the slave ship Zong. That's where over 132 slaves were thrown overboard. Now, if you know the history, you will know what it's about, and this story follows the trial and the events connected to the Zong. But that's only half of the story, so I don't want to tell you more, because you just have to read it for yourself and experience it the way I did. Now, one of the things that was going through my head when I was reading it is modern day London, because I lived in London and I was in the UK. I was studying for like a year, and these roads and these places that they mention sound so familiar, like Covent Garden, Shardwell, Westminster. So many places that I've actually been to. I've walked on those streets, and all I kept thinking was, these roads that I've walked on had once witnessed the heinous crimes that were committed by the white people. The torture, the pain of the black community, they witnessed it. The roads are different now, there are new buildings, there's a new generation that's walking on them, but man, if only those streets could talk. It was not easy reading this, I must tell you, because especially Nathaniel was just a kid. He was a kid and he was branded with hot iron. Just melted into his skin. Like, how fucking painful that must have been. I want to read one part of the book. This is not related to the story, but there's like a small summary, like a historical note of the slave trade, and it says, slavery was not abolished in America until 1865 and not until 1888 in Brazil. During the 300 years of the international slave trade, so many enslaved people were thrown off board, dead and alive, on what was called the Middle Passage, that to this day, sharks follow the route of those ships looking for more people to eat. This book is also a good introduction to Black history and the slave trade, and I wish this was a recommended text in schools, because instead of learning about Jane Austen and how the white people used to attend tea parties, children should be learning about the greatest tragedy of humankind and how to this day that these atrocities have gone unpunished. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you like it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because I make new videos, hopefully. But there is a vlog coming, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one.